they have to kind of assimilate to the corporate culture, knowing that they're probably first generation in their family or even just exposure to this type of environment. But how do you hold a conversation in the boardroom? I was like the why trainee. So I never accepted things. So when they said we're testing revenue like this, I'm saying why? What a surgeon are we testing? Because I really was trying to understand. So it made the learning for me easier. And
Let's speak parenthood in articles, especially audit articles. There's a lot of deadlines, there's a lot of pressure.
when it was time for me to make time for my child, I did. I just made it very clear that although work is difficult, my family is more important.
Welcome back to another episode of By Profession with Presh, Season 2. This episode is sponsored by Gap Learning. Gap Learning is an online education platform for accounting students. Gap Learning offers expert tutors, expert educational resources, as well as a podcast library for you to study on the go. If you're an accounting student and require support along the journey of qualifying or obtaining your accounting qualification, then visit gaplearning.co.za. I have the beautiful Lesego Rankou. Hi, Lesego.
How are you, precious? I'm so happy to be here.
I'm curious to know, what was the biggest culture shock going into articles?
Sure, the biggest culture shock is just how competitive my people are. I was like, I don't
What
know.
do you mean your people?
My melanin magic people,
Okay.
I'll call them that. So melanin magic is very competitive, and I never understood corporate culture and corporate language. So again, small town, Northwest, I don't know what corporate is like. If you grew up in Joburg, you kind of have a sense. But I just thought we were going to all unite. We all excited to be in this amazing building, to see so many different people from different backgrounds. And so I thought we had the same understanding that we are there to help one another. And also because of the year that I've had before, I had a baby and I had so many people help me. So this idea of support and help was a norm for
Yeah,
me.
you
That's what I
almost
thought.
softened before
Yes,
going into articles.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
I get you.
I'm just assuming everybody also is coming with this, oh, I'm ready to help.
the same intentions.
My sister. That was not the case. I found
Okay.
myself feeling like I'm intimidating people because I'm so self-assured. And also that like people are not that supportive because they feel threatened by you. And I was like, but I'm not, we are at serving articles. I don't think if I do better, I get promoted immediately.
Exactly. I
Like,
was thinking the same thing.
so that was my confusion that like, why are we competitive? And I remember, I'll never forget this, when I was in first year, it was the second years actually, the second years and the third years, they are more resistant to first years, and even first years that seem very secure in themselves, where they didn't want to help. So obviously you don't have physical training of audit. You understand audit at a theoretical level. But when I thought about testing, how do I understand the methodology of this firm? I would need somebody to coach me. And they were very hesitant to coach. You could even hear the way they're coaching you is giving you nuggets. It's not like giving you the fullness of what to study, but the competitiveness was just something that it broke my heart. And it was something that perpetuated not just with me, but with everybody else. And we all complained about the same thing. And to realize that that was not even our biggest battle as Melanin Magic. We understand that this corporate space is not for us. It wasn't built for even females. It wasn't built for the people that look like us. And you see those biases come through. So I was just struggling to see, why is this competitiveness the priority? We have bigger things. Like, are you on listed audits, for example? Like, are you trying to get other people that look like you to get more exposure? That's where my mindset was at. So even now, I still see it. And I hope we get to a point where we can demystify it and encourage one another and not see each other as competition or people that are going to take your job, because we are serving articles at the end of the day. Like,
100%.
I don't get it. Yeah.
How did you navigate that? And what did you take from that? Like, what will you be doing different moving forward based on that experience?
So just on your first point, how I dealt with it was actually just finding a tribe very quickly. So I think the people that I could see, they are not competing with me. They automatically became my tribe. The people that I knew were there because we knew we were here to become CAs. That's our focus. So we're not here to impress managers. We're not here to impress partners. We are here to get our article signed off and to grow as individuals. So I gravitated towards the people that shared that kind of belief with me. And how I even actioned it or dealt with it was actually joining certain committees. So I remember I was in the peer group learning committee where you assist trainees that were much younger than you. So when I was in second year, I would coach first years and do it at a grade level, right? Not just individual people on your actual team, but actually hosting stuff at a grade level, how to assimilate to corporate culture, how to test certain things. I was also on the transformation committee because, again, I realized transformation and diversity is such a big thing. So being involved in those types of committees was like my way of trying to say, I'm not competing with you. I'm here for a bigger cause, you know? And even after I qualified, I looked out for Melanin Magic trainees because I just knew they already have it difficult. They have to kind of assimilate to the corporate culture, knowing that they're probably first generation in their family or even just exposure to this type of environment. But how do you hold a conversation in the boardroom? I would talk to them outside.
There's a big need for some sort of coaching around that. And I think it's because, you know, amongst the Black community, there's a thing of, you know, when you speak to elders or someone superior, then you don't look them in the eye.
Yeah, humble
you know,
yourself.
Exactly. You're just trying to be pleasant by all means. And then you're thrown into this environment, especially Big Four, where you need to be so confident. You need to speak up for yourself. You need to look in the eye. So it is a big culture shock, actually. And that's amazing that you would actually, you know, speak to them outside of the boardroom. What are some of the things you say?
So I'll just tell them, like, when you talk about this, right, be confident in what you're saying. If you are doubting, however you're thinking, it comes across. So make sure that even if you're unsure of what you want to say, ask yourself in the conversation in your mind, why am I trying to say something? But you have to speak up. I think that was my main thing, that we literally just accepted everything. So I was like the why trainee. So I never accepted things. So when they said we're testing revenue like this, I'm saying why? What a surgeon are we testing? Because I really was trying to understand. So it made the learning for me easier. And so I knew that was something that was not common to other people because their biggest fear was sounding dumb, looking dumb, looking a different type of way. And I didn't have fear of looking dumb. I just needed to know, do I understand or don't I understand? Right. 100%. So I had to remind them, you are here to learn. You're not here to impress or stand out or have somebody like you. It's not a priority for you to focus where that, am I going to be liked in a room? Are you learning? Do you understand at the end of it? If I had to review your work paper, can you justify certain things? And if yes, why can you justify certain things? So I think it was just me always emphasizing, be confident and sure why you're doing certain things. If they say to you, check prior, and you check prior and you don't agree, come forward and say, I don't agree because of X, Y, Z. So again, it was more of trying to cement their voice and actually just make them believe that you've passed your degree, you've done CTA, you know something. Don't just now forget you know something just because you're intimidated by the space or the people. You are competent.
Or by titles even.
100%. Like you're competent all by yourself. But if you don't say you're competent, we're not going to know because everybody here is assumed to be competent because we're all smart. That's why we're all here, right? So the issue is not competence. It's about who can chat the loudest, right? And who can chat with the most confidence. So it was just always emphasizing that.
Yeah, that's so important. And I've also had to adjust. I mean, I think there was a big learning curve for me to speak out. And I think I've spoken about it before, just how before I went for an interview at the Big Four, I went for a smaller firm. And I was so shy and reserved and I didn't get that job. But a friend of mine told me, listen, for this one, you know, be confident. Put up your hand to answer questions. And honestly, moving into the corporate world, that's what's needed. You need to speak out for yourself. You need to, you know, take initiative, etc. So a very important conversation to have. Yeah. Let's speak parenthood in articles, especially audit articles. There's a lot of deadlines. There's a lot of pressure. And I don't think it's very family friendly, to be completely honest.
Not in the slightest.
I've had some experiences where, you know, managers are... I don't want to say shunned, but it was just uncomfortable for them to say, listen, I have to prioritize my family. And when they did put that up, it was like a, oh my gosh, kind of thing.
Yeah. How could you love your child? when the work papers still need to be signed off.
Like it was, and honestly, life is about, family. It's about children. It's about, I mean, I know people might have their different priorities, but a big part of life is about that. So I'm so confused about why corporate does that. How did you manage to balance parenthood and articles?
So to be honest with you, Precious, I didn't balance it at all, right? I really struggled my way through articles as a parent because I was conflicted by two things. The first thing is I knew the company that I'm going to is esteemed and known to be high pressure and known to be full of people that are academically well off. And I didn't even know anyone who was a parent at that time, let alone managers or whatever the case is, right? So I knew I was coming in at a disadvantage, right? So I had this conversation with myself. Am I going to tell them? Because I didn't look like I was a parent. I looked very young. I was very petite. And I could pass off as somebody that was not married without a child. So I was like, okay, I don't think I'm going to tell them. That was the first thing. The second thing is because of the year that I had the year before in 2019, I had so many people in my corner. But this time around, I was going to live with my husband. And it was just going to be the two of us. And we couldn't afford to get a helper. So we had already had conversations with my in-laws to have Zoe stay with them while I do my articles. And then on my weekends, I fetch her and we tried that dynamic. But I remember I was asked a question in onboarding and they said, what is one interesting thing about you? And because the Lord will have his way, the first thing I said is, I'm a parent. And that's when I knew I was not going to keep it a secret. I was not going to hide because at some stage I knew what I brought to the table. I knew my motherhood had nothing to do with my level of competence. So I was never going to let that be something that's used against me. And even if somebody were to find out, I never wanted somebody to be like, her work is not done because she is.
It's even crazy that we're having this conversation.
Do you know what I mean? Her work is not done because she's busy parenting.
Yeah.
And I was just trying to not be that person, nor was I trying to make excuses for lack of competence. So I was like, I know who I am. I know what I bring to the table. So I'm going to be bold about it. And so that was my article journey where on weekends I'm fetching my child. And that just meant that I was a different trainee because, when you are working in Big Four, weekends, there's an expectation that you work, right? So I made sure that I had really good relationships with my managers, including my partners as well. And I made sure that I never dropped the ball. In fact, I was always overperforming because I knew I'm collecting coins for those weekends. Because when the weekend came, I'd be like, guys, you know me
not
now.
available.
You know what I can produce. And even if you want your work done, I can do it from home. But again, because God, in his wholeness, COVID was when we were in first year. So working from home. So it kind of worked out because what was interesting is everybody was just so panicked about working from home and trusting trainees to work from home. And nobody had like a blueprint of what it's like to have trainees work from home. But that worked in my favor because I was studying through UNISA. So I'm so used to working from home and working online. So I never struggled. And in fact, I'm overperforming. Like partners want me on their jobs. Managers want to work with me because I don't have an issue with tech. I don't have an issue with commitments and communication online. That's what I'm used to. So that in itself made me stand out because I was always performing well under pressure. Because I was so used to a baby crying at night, I'm so used to working online, that made me stand out. So I think being a parent actually worked to my favor because of what was happening in the rest of the world. And also because I just, again, made the decision that I'm going to take control of this narrative.
Yeah.
And you could see like how even partners used to look at me in a very like humbled kind of way because when it was time for me to make time for my child, I did. I just made it very clear that although work is difficult, my family is more my family is more important.
I think communication is also very important when it comes to that. 100%. Communicating boundaries in that way as well.
I had to, and it's like I was forced to. So I couldn't leave it to hapstance. I couldn't just say, I hope they see how hard I work so that they can give me time off. I knew that was never going to happen. So I just had to be always forthcoming. I used to always be that person, okay, when is this happening? When is this? I needed to know scheduling because I just knew on certain weekends I had to go. And I remember the one time, even on my daughter's birthday, I remember when she turned 4, I specifically asked for leave because I said my daughter has her birthday today and I really don't live with her. I want to spend the day with her. And my managers understood and they gave me the day off. So I think it taught me to actually have open conversations. And again,
And that confidence again comes into the picture.
But other trainees, you know how trainees are like, why does she always, and I always used to tell them.
But the thing is, you came to the party in terms of, working hard.
That's why I'm like, build the bank.
Exactly.
I just knew. So I was like, I couldn't afford to be subpar. Not because I had the option to be subpar. I knew why I had to overperform because I knew this is the language in corporate that communicates when you are effectively working, when you are efficient, when you're producing work, then they give you an ear.
100%.
That's something that I just had to learn quite early.